I'm Sonia Bouis from the Lyon Free University Library. I'm the head of the library IT service. In fact, I'm not an IT person, nor a librarian. I'm sort of a hybrid of the two. I know how to speak to both. I have been working as a system librarian for more than 20 years. I'm also the chairman of the Koha French non-profit group, KohaLa. So today I want to speak about a future that will be in Koha, but that is not in Koha yet. In fact, I will not explain what is the OAI-PMH protocol. So if you are expecting for that, no. Just in a few words, it's a protocol to exchange metadata in XML format. And there's a nice presentation from IFLA. So don't hesitate if you want to know exactly how it works to watch this page. Okay. Koha is known to be highly scalable and interoperable. So it's pretty surprising that there's not an OAI-PMH harvester in Koha yet. There's an OAI-PMH server for more than 10 years, I think. But there's not the other side, there's not the OAI-PMH client. And it's also surprising because it's a well-implanted module in other library management systems. So it's a missing module in Koha now. In fact, there's already an attempt to get an OAI-PMH harvester in Koha 10 years ago. 10 years ago, in 2013. And I will give you a few details about that. But first of all, I want to explain you why KohaLa was interested in this feature. So, let me introduce KohaLa. We are a French association established on 2007. At the time, it was to create a space between user and vendors to promote Koha. Nowadays, it's more a space for users to exchange their experiences. But the aim of the association is to improve and promote Koha. In fact, to join KohaLa, there's membership fees. So we have a budget and we can fund developments. We have already funded the pseudonymization process. One of those Aude presented you just before. The pickup, upside pickup as a module. It was a plugin previously a plugin from Bywater Solution, and now it's a module in Koha. Some announcement in the Unimark framework, especially the recent changes to reach LRM. So if you remember what Paul said you yesterday, so we try to pay development always for the master version of Koha. For a few years, we began to have a special interest group, one for translation, one for bibliographic change to LRM, serials, and one about the exchange between Koha and the ABES tools. So a small reminder, of what ABES is. So ABES is a bibliographic agency for higher education. It's administered by the Ministry of Higher Education, and it implemented the SUDOC. It's a national system for shared cataloging. It implemented SUDOC 20 years ago. So all the documentary resources are cataloged in the SUDOC. The network is almost up to 160 institutions, and that include around 1,500 libraries. And they catalog daily in the Winnipeg tool, cataloging from CBS by OCLC Pika. Each night, the records, the library records are sent to the libraries. So they can be integrated in their system. ABES developed other in-house softwares and databases and APIs to complete CBS, that is a non-evolving system. And the developments also guarantee the interoperability and the possibility for the library data to be reused. So, why do we feel the need to collaborate with ABES? Because they are deeply working with Ex Libris for the ALMA libraries. I don't want to explain why here, but it's a fact. And we would like the libraries with other systems to be more represented and to work more deeply with the ABES, especially the Koha libraries that are a quarter of the SUDOC institution. So in our special interest group, we have Koha user librarians, and we also have vendors, Laurence and Mathias from Biblibre, and and Frédéric from Tamil. So we raised several questions in the special interest group. We wanted to enhance the quality of our records. In fact, ABES provide APIs that can check some Unimark rules. It can check if there's good links or other thing. So we ask to create a plugin that can use these APIs to check if the records in the catalog are well cataloged. We also want to highlight the offers. ABES provide IDRF database. That is a database from for the authorities with identifiers, and we use it to provide other publication from the authors in the Koha. There's a system preference called IDREF, I think. And if you activate it, you can have the other publication, but we want to enhance it and to make it more nice. And we also want to use the IDREF identifier as a pivot to retrieve other identifier like ORCID. And lastly, we would like to change the way the records are retrieved every night. In fact, we need several emails exchanges to get records to an FTP server, and it's pretty outdated. So we asked ABES if we could change the process. We first considered web services, but ABES told us that they were thinking to use the OAI-PMH protocol. So for us, the only problem that is we don't have OAI-PMH harvester in Koha. In fact, we are not sure that ABES will continue this project because the head of the agency changed recently, and they are preparing a new roadmap. But we thought that the OAI-PMH harvester was lacking in Koha. So however, if we finance it, it will be useful for the community. So, as a matter of fact, there was an initial attempt to implement OAI-PMH client in Koha. It was sponsored by the Stockholm University. A case was submitted in Bouis, but there was several patches to test, but it was never signed off. Why? We should ask the people involved. I just know that they encounter several concerns. They want to have a user interface to schedule the harvesting, and it might lead to performance issues, because if you launch the harvesting too often, it can block the system. They want to pass a very long XML response. That is not normally a mandatory thing in the OAI-PMH protocol. So I don't know why, but it could lead also to performance issues. And it was a very large patch with perhaps too many things to test in a row. So our first idea, when we are considering the requirements for the OAI-PMH harvester, was to reuse the old Bouis case. We asked Biblib to review this patch, but in fact, it was too old because Koha evolved a lot in 10 years, and now the code lines are too old to be integrated in Koha. So it was a better idea to start from scratch to try to implement the harvester. To avoid financing a development that will never be in the Koha master, we thought that we could ask at the Koha community if they have any thought. So we were asking the Koha list. Should we use an external harvester? Because there's already several OAI-PMH harvester existing. So BibLibre examined several OAI-PMH clients. That what can be good with using an external harvester is that it could be less programming, but there's other difficulties. We can have to use another environment. So like for PHP, for instance, and that could not be appreciated by the system administrators. And perhaps using another tool, an external tool, could also lead to performance issues. So why not use the Perl module that is already used in Koha for the server? In fact, it's regularly upgraded, but unfortunately, the version that is now used in Koha for the server is an old version. And if we use the newest version of the Perl module, it breaks the server, the OAI-PMH server. So we have to try to use the latest version of the Perl module in the server to be able to use it in the harvester. Okay. What are we asking for in this development? We don't want that the staff can launch the harvesting. It will be planned in cron jobs. We need to have settings, so the URL, the set, format, Dublin core, Mac XML or other XML format. The encoding XSLT sheet to transform into a Mark XML, and record types, biblio, or authorities. We will always import the records into the default Mark framework. We need to deal with the deleted records. We need to deduplicate records while importing. We want to have one XSLT sheet from Dublicar to Mark XML. And we want to have some logs for all the process. But it's only the beginning. We know that the module will not need to be improved to be really usable. The most logical suggestion is that it is be connected with other Koha tools, like the mark transformation rules and the mark overlay rules. It will need to deal with items. Perhaps for some case we have to authenticate to be able to harvest records. It will be nice if we could choose a mark framework, a specific mark framework, and really, I'm sure that we will have other ideas when we will begin to use it. But the only question is who will fund it? So any volunteers is welcome. So right now, where do we stand? We, KohaLa, paid BibLibre for this feature. Programming is in progress. It began in July and should finish in September. After that, the KohaLa Special Interest Group members will test the development. And then BibLib will open Bugzilla cases. And let the community test it. Will the OAI-PMH harvester in Koha become a reality? We really hope so. But we know that it could be difficult. First, we have to change the server to be to make it able to work with the latest version of the OAI-PMH server Perl module. And we hope that it will not take 10 years to have it in Koha. So we have to test the pages for the signed off, and there's to the QA to be approved. So it's also up to you. So let's do it together, and we'll see. Thank you. So if you have any technical questions, Matthias is in the room.
It's for you, Mats. How hard is it, do you think, to fix the server side? Is that a lot of work?
So I didn't look it up really at the moment because I was just installed the right version to make the development. But I've seen that on the Bugzilla patch, Kyle's on it. So maybe I'll catch up with him to see what's going on really. Yeah.
If not, I will only add that this is, of course, something that goes well with what I talked in Monday about keeping library relevant, so that we need to increase the flow of data from, in this case, perhaps between library resources, but it will also open possibilities to integrate all kinds of information resources, which has been a bit difficult, but let's hope we can go forward with that. Thank you.